One station making history every day.
Chicago, Chicago.
Now, John Cass.
89
Chicago. It is 9:07, 7 past 9 today, 89 WOS. This is John Cass. Sitting in with me is Lauren Cohn. Hey,
hi,
Lauren.
John.
We've got a lot to cover. There's bodies being exhumed and Merrill nephews going to court. But right now we're talking about, we've got Tom Rivers on the line from, he's an ABC News correspondent. We want to know about what's going on in Algeria, where dozens have been killed and I don't know how many hostages are still unaccounted for. Tom, are you there?
That's right, John. The numbers still floating about. It is not clear. But in the last few hours, we had the British Prime Minister talking in the House of Commons here. And he said, look, because this is still a quote-unquote ongoing operation, he says, I cannot give you as much detail as I would like to, but some unaccounted for still among the British. We know about the Americans as well. 5 are out and free and fine. There's 5 individuals. We don't know what their fate is at this stage. They could be hiding out in another outbuilding on this vast complex. But that has to be nailed down, and we may not know that till later on today or maybe tomorrow.
And a offer is being made by the terrorists to trade Americans for terrorists here being held in the United States.
Well, I mean, initially they were going through another country getting their message out, saying this whole process is about what's happening in Mali and the French dropping their forces in there and overflying Algerian airspace because the rebels, the opposition forces there, are mixing it up in the north and the central part of the country. They say that is their motivation for doing this.
What are officials saying about this sort of botched assault by the Algerian military going in without alerting the United States or the European countries?
Interesting. Well, that came out in Parliament today. David Cameron said, before this whole thing unfolded, he said, and he said Washington had a similar deal. It's like if you have to, launch a military campaign there, an operation, please give us some advance, give us a heads up. And he's been in contact with his counterpart down in Algiers, and he said he was on the phone yesterday, and that's when he found out that a military operation was underway. So London, Washington, Paris had no advance notice. He said that security on the ground, Algerian security, went forward with this operation when they saw that a couple of vehicles with the hostage takers and some hostages were trying to make their way out of this compound, and they said they were forced to take action, and that included people on the ground and choppers in the air.
Tom, is this a wake-up call to all of us that there's a growing Al-Qaeda threat in this part of the world?
I don't know. This particular place is in the back of beyond, and it may say more about multinational interests in another part of the world. This place is 800 miles from the capital. There's nothing around it. It's the middle of the desert there, and they did have good security there, but security, as we found out, can never be 100%.
What is the American military response, and what are our true allies in London going to do about it?
At this stage of the game, there's a cargo plane, a U.S. cargo plane, at an airstrip about 30 miles away from this complex, and going to be evacuating out individuals from there, not only assuming Americans, but people from other countries as well. And it varies anywhere from 7 to about 10 different countries, people represented there at this complex. It was the largest gas field in Algeria, so Algerian State Oil is involved. You've got BP, which is obviously from London here, involved. You've got Norwegian Oil is involved as well. One of the maintenance contracts went out to a firm in Japan. They're there as well. So, yeah, a lot of people in different parts of the world were working there.
And so military units from all these different countries are trying to get, are they coordinating, are they getting ready to go in there? And
I think that's, well, you know, you never know at this stage of the game, but that was one of the options. As we heard yesterday here in London, Cameron was saying, look, one of the options, if you guys in Algeria need international assistance, we're here and we can try to get that together and try to make that happen. But they would prefer, people like Cameron would prefer if it had been dealt with through negotiation.
Well, originally they didn't even send in ground troops. The U.S. just sent a drone over. There wasn't even a call for backup or support.
Well, they say, yeah. I mean, it is Algerian soil, and it was pointed out. You know, it was their operation to lead. But if they felt they weren't up to speed, then yeah, they could say, look, maybe the U.S. or Britain or France, whatever. I need some better expertise here. Get on in here, stretch this thing out, so you guys can get in here and do something.
I know that you mentioned that the 5 Americans that were freed, we had heard some reports yesterday that 2 might have been already transported to Italy. Do we know specifically where anybody is?
No, not at this stage, no. And that's part of the puzzle. Yesterday, it was very, very opaque trying to find out what was going on. Conflicting, sources at times. Today, it's a little bit clearer, and we're expecting hopefully a presser with Leon Panetta and David Cameron coming up later on today here in London, and we'll hopefully have some more clarity.
Well, thank you, Tom Rivers from ABC. Excellent reporting, and keep it going because we rely on you to tell us what's going on over there.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Take care, guys.
Okay, so Lauren, does the United States, are we now in the business of waiting for other countries? When our people are hostages, we just wait now, right? Okay, Algerians, tell us what to do.
We should be on top of these things.
Right? Or do we,
Well, we need cooperations from these other parts of the world, but, to stage a military operation when all these people are involved and not even bring in counsel from the United States or the European countries at all for dialogue.
Right. Sometimes you need deniability, too, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we didn't know what they were doing. Hey, they did it on their own. We didn't even know. Meanwhile, we've got other stuff going on in Chicago.
A lot going on.
The body of the lottery winner is going to be exhumed. And I think they're doing that as we speak.
Yeah, they started at 7 this morning. This is like an episode of CSI.
And you know what? This thing, it gets all the news cameras over there on the body. And that way they don't have to really cover the Vanecko case if they're already over in, you know what I mean? What will suck up the news energy? It'll be that and not whether political clout was used to affect the homicide investigation. This is John Cass, Lauren Cohen. We'll be taking a break. There's traffic and weather first on the 5s with Ryan Burrows. Hey, everybody. This is John Cass, 89 WLS, sitting in with Lauren Cohen today. And you can call us at 591-8900 or text us, WLS-AM, to JJ68683. We have a text I want to read from 219. Love you guys. Jake will truly be missed. Yes, he will, and that's why we play the polka today. Another from 630. John, I can't believe we didn't send special forces immediately. We should be running special ops. 630.
Another screw up by the administration. I was just reading that one, John. Yeah.
My guess is that our special warriors are already there, ready to do their job. They're
going to take control of the situation.
Call. And if they get put up on a roof and they're fighting terrorists off with handguns for 7 hours, maybe that this time the president will help them and not let them die like he did in Benghazi.
Interesting to see Hillary Clinton come out right away yesterday. She didn't say much, but she came out right away this time.
Now, locally, what's happening today, I mentioned the exhumation of the body of the lottery winner. Will that suck up the news energy that because there's another story happening at 1:30, and it's kind of dry, but very important.
But your column isn't dry.
Well,
Very
thank you. The story is about, the news angle is the Vanecko case. Richard J. Vanecko, as many of you know, the nephew of Mayor Daley, grandson and namesake of Mayor Richard J. Daley, is on trial, or there's a hearing now. He has been charged in the involuntary manslaughter of David Kochman. Vanecko weighed 230 pounds, stood 6 feet 3 inches tall, in April of 2004, when he allegedly punched Kochman, who was 5'5" and 125. Kochman died. What I'm asking today, and so that'll be the hearing in McHenry County. A McHenry County judge will be in Rolling Meadows.
And that's because they couldn't have it in Cook County because so many of these judges have ties to the Daley family.
Right. Jason Meisner of the Tribune did a study and found out that more than half of every criminal court judge had a tie to the Daleys of some kind.
Unbelievable.
So we had to go out. They went out of the county, found this other judge, and she's going to be presiding. But that's only one part of the case. The other part of the case, Special Prosecutor Dan Webb is investigating, is what happened after the punch was thrown. How was the investigation handled? Was it botched? Was it bungled? Was it consciously bungled by police and prosecutors? It took 8 years to bring a charge. And that's amazing, right? 8 years.
And as soon as what happened, what phone calls were made to see who was going to be there?
Right.
Who were the exact people around him when it happened?
And at 591-8900, we're talking about this. But you know what I brought up today in the column today? The Praetorian Guard. Have you ever heard of a Praetorian Guard?
Going back to the ancient Roman days?
Right. They wear sandals and they have spears.
Yeah, they don't have to wear those heavy black shoes and the tight suits. And
Well, the Praetorian Guard in ancient days guarded the emperor. And the Praetorian Guard in modern times in Washington is the Secret Service. In Chicago, we call it the detail, the mayoral detail. And the issue here is, I ask Dan Webb, are you going to walk the cat back and find out about the Praetorian Guard and find out what they did after this punch was thrown, and whether they talked to people, and what did they do in 1992 when a bat was used in a brawl with teenagers, Vanecko and Patrick Daley, the mayor's son, in which a shotgun and a bat were brandished. So we'll be taking your calls, 591-8900. I'm John Cass. She's Lauren Cohen. Back with more after this.
Got news? Call the 89 WLS News Tip Hotline and let us know. 312-236-0507.
Hey, Chicago. This is John Cass, 89 WLS. Sitting in is Lauren Cohen, my friend Lauren. Lauren, we're talking about, as you know, the Vanecko case, the Praetorian Guard.
They guarded Julius Caesar.
Yeah, they also guarded
Mark Antony.
Emperor Daley for years.
Emperor Daley, right.
The Praetorian Guard does very well in Chicago once they retire. Sometimes they go on to make a lot of money. But my question for the grand jury investigating the Vanecko case, which will be the heater case, and it starts today, if I were the grand jury, I'd want to know, when Daley's nephew and son were involved in a brawl, did anyone from the Praetorian Guard get sent out to Grand Beach, Michigan to retrieve a bat? No bat is involved in this case today involving the punch and the young man who was killed. But it would tell me something about the Praetorian Guard. Do they get involved? Do they just show up, get a bat? Or, say, after the punch, did the Praetorian Guard come down to Rush Street and talk to the famous Rush Street detail? There are connected cops down there who babysit the bars on Division Street and Rush Street and the whole Niagara Triangle. They used to hang out in front of Tavern on Rush a lot, and they would know everything that happened on that street. They would know who parked where, who's got the valet parking, who has the good valet parking and the bad valet parking. My question would be, did the Praetorian Guard contact the Rush Street Detail about a heater case involving the nephew of Mayor Richard Daley?
It's a great question.
Right? I mean, it's all...
And what was asked and what wasn't asked.
What was asked and what wasn't asked. Anyway, in our next segment, we're going to... Tailwing, which is this new bizarre phenomenon that we'll tell you all about involving alternate realities. I'm John Cass. She's Lauren Cohen. Back with more after this.